Look, she's here. I told you she would come back today.
I know, I see her.
Hello there. I'm so happy to see you too.
The golden afternoon sunlight streamed through the preschool windows, dust motes dancing lazily in the warm glow. Lily Grace, the new teacher, quietly straightened up the classroom, her blonde curls catching the sunlight like spun gold. 2 months had passed since she started here, yet every corner of the room felt like a place she could belong. A tug at her sleeve pulled her out of her thoughts. "Miss Lily." Emma's voice, bright and mischievous, rang across the room. The little girl, clad in pink with bouncing pigtails, stared up at her, eyes alight with a secret. "I need you to do something really important for me." Lily knelt down, smiling gently. "What's going on, sweetheart?" Emma leaned in, whispering as though revealing a treasure. "I want you to meet my daddy today, kind of like a blind date." Lily blinked, caught off guard. A blind date with who? Emma grinned. "With my daddy, of course. He's really nice but super lonely. I think he needs someone kind like you. I even told the driver not to come today. Daddy promised to pick me up himself." Lily's jaw dropped. "You planned this all by yourself?" Emma nodded solemnly, her hands folded over her chest. "It's just talking. 5 minutes. Please don't tell him I set it up." Lily laughed softly, feeling warmth bloom in her chest. Emma's thoughtfulness was remarkable for a girl her age, always trying to bring people together. "All right," Lily sighed, smiling. 5 minutes, our little secret." Emma beamed, pinky held high. "Secret blind date, front gate, late afternoon." Outside, Ethan Blake stepped out of his black SUV, cuffs rolled neatly over his crisp white shirt. A single unread message on his phone flashed. "Please pick me up, Daddy. I have a surprise. Don't be late." He exhaled sharply, expecting yet another of Emma's spontaneous adventures. Her insistence had always been part of her charm. Walking toward the school, he kept his expression businesslike, a CEO's mask he had perfected. But as the classroom door opened and Emma ran into his arms, the stern mask melted. "Daddy, come. I want you to meet someone." Confused, he followed her inside, halting at the threshold. There she stood, Lily Grace, blonde curls, soft eyes, and a gentle, warm smile. And then it hit him, her face, her presence. It was Grace, his late wife. Every detail mirrored her as though the world had made a cruel joke. Why do you have my wife's face?" he whispered, voice breaking. Lily's smile faltered. I think you must be mistaken." But Ethan couldn't look away. The air between them seemed to still. Emma tugged at their hands. "I just wanted you to talk. She's really nice, Daddy. She makes me laugh." Ethan cleared his throat, regaining a fraction of composure. "Thank you, Miss Lily. Is it nice to meet you?" Lily nodded softly. "Likewise, Mr. Blake." The silence stretched, thick with unspoken memories, until Ethan turned to Emma. "Let's go home, kiddo." As they walked away, Lily lingered by the doorway, gripping her bag. Her heart raced inexplicably. Emma peeked back, grinning. "Blind date started," she whispered. Night fell heavy over the city. Ethan remained in his study, lights dimmed low, pulling out old photo albums. Faces of Grace, once carefully stored, now blurred into memories that refused to stay buried. But layered on top was Lily, her presence unnervingly familiar, a living echo of a past he thought had ended. He opened Lily's staff profile from the school records again, place of origin unknown, raised at Hope House Orphanage, parental status not available. Hope House. The name triggered a chill. Grace had spoken of the place once, in vague recollections of shadows, laughter, and a sister she couldn't remember fully. Across town, Lily lay awake, Mason asleep beside her. The man from school, Emma's father, had looked at her with disbelief. She pulled out an old tin box, revealing a single photograph. She had been a toddler, standing beside a girl with the same blonde hair, the same frame. But the other face was torn away. Could it be she had a sister? Ethan, in the quiet of his study, traced his fingers over the albums again. Grace's words echoed. I dream of a little girl who looks like me. I think she's my sister, but she's always too far away. Now it felt like the thread had been pulled loose. The fabric of the past unraveled before him. And in her apartment, Lily studied the photograph, a memory stirring within her, fragile yet insistent. The sun rose the next day over the park, and Ethan double-checked his phone. Emma's weekend plans had been persistent. She arranged a picnic, a surprise. Across the grass, Lily approached with Mason by her side. Emma ran to Ethan, jubilant. "Daddy, surprise, we all get to eat together." Lily smiled apologetically at Ethan. She said, "You knew. I suppose we've both been outsmarted." Sitting on the blanket, the two adults navigated polite conversation, glances stolen, hearts quietly recognizing something larger at play. The children laughed nearby, tea parties made of dandelion petals and leaf cookies. And then came the bee hovering near the fruit bowl. Mason stiffened. Lily whispered to him, forehead against his, "Brave boys don't swat, they breathe." Ethan froze. Grace had said those exact words to Emma during storms. The tone, the cadence, identical. And suddenly, the past wasn't past. The park was a calm oasis from the city's constant pulse. Light filtered through the trees, painting dappled patterns on the grass. Ethan spread the blanket carefully, Emma and Mason bouncing around with bursts of laughter, carrying baskets of grapes, juice boxes, and homemade sandwiches. Lily laid down her own blanket, careful to keep Mason's side tidy. Her hands trembled slightly, not from nerves, but from the lingering echo of that first glance in the classroom. Emma immediately launched into her secret picnic plan, narrating as though they were characters in an epic story. Mason joined in, adding his own giggles and commentary. Ethan found himself laughing quietly, watching his daughter and son play, while Lily's soft voice narrated the adventures of dandelion nights and leaf cookies. As the children ran off to chase a butterfly, Ethan and Lily remained on the blanket, the space between them charged yet unspoken. "She's persistent," Ethan said quietly, nodding toward Emma, who was attempting to teach Mason the fine art of making pretend lemonade. "I should have known something was up when she packed grapes for 4." Lily smiled softly, eyes following the children. "She's always trying to bring people together, even when we least expect it." The warmth in her voice, the gentle cadence of her words, reminded Ethan painfully of Grace. He shook the thought away, focusing on Lily as her own person, yet the resemblance was a persistent shadow in his mind. For a long while they spoke about the children, about bedtime routines, school projects, and small triumphs. Ethan listened as Lily described Mason's fear of the dark. "Every night," she said softly, "I'd place my hand on his chest and count. 1, 2, 3. You are not alone." Soon he'd fall asleep. Ethan's throat tightened. That phrase, it was Grace's. Her words, remembered by his daughter, echoed in Lily's voice. He blinked rapidly, trying to focus on the present. Then the conversation shifted, cautiously, toward Lily herself. "I never knew my parents," Lily said. Her eyes didn't waver, but a shadow passed over them. "I grew up at Hope House Orphanage, moved from one foster home to another until I was 13. Ethan's posture shifted. Hope House, Vermont. The name was a key he didn't yet understand. "Did they ever tell you anything about your family?" he asked carefully. "Only once," Lily replied. A flicker of something unreadable crossed her face. "A volunteer said I might have had a twin, but no one could confirm it. I thought it was just to make me feel special." She reached into her bag and pulled out her wallet, retrieving a photograph. Carefully, she laid it on the blanket. It was faded, creased, old. A little girl with solemn eyes stood beside another child whose face had been torn away. "This is me," Lily whispered. "The girl next to me, I always wondered who she was. The back says G and L 191. Ethan's breath caught. The initials, the date, They aligned with memories he'd long tucked away. Memories of Grace speaking of dreams and shadows, of a sister she could never reach. The afternoon sunlight softened, shifting into the gentle amber of early evening. Silence fell between them, comfortable yet tense, as if the air itself held its breath. The children returned, their chatter filling the gaps that words could not. Lily reached over to Mason as a small bee hovered nearby. She touched her forehead to his, whispering softly, "Brave boys don't swat, they breathe." Ethan's hands tightened on the blanket, that exact phrase. Grace had said it to Emma during storms. The cadence, the tone, everything. It was impossible, yet undeniably true. The picnic continued, slowly transforming from an ordinary afternoon to something more delicate. Conversations interwove with laughter, with shared glances, with fleeting moments of recognition. When the sun began to dip, they packed slowly. Nobody wanted to be the first to leave. In the car, Emma curled against Ethan's shoulder. "Daddy, can Miss Lily be your friend too, like Mason is mine?" He caught Lily's eye in the rearview mirror. She smiled softly, a mix of guilt and amusement. "Looks like we've been outsmarted," she murmured. Ethan nodded. That evening, back at his study, he pulled out old photo albums. Letters from Grace, journals, photographs, all pieces of a life carefully preserved. He compared the torn photograph Lily had shown him with one of Grace as a child, standing beside another little girl. The tear in Lily's photo matched perfectly with the jagged edge in Grace. A tremor ran through him. The resemblance was no coincidence. He drafted a quick email to Martin Walsh, an old friend with access to foster care archives. Attached was the reconstructed photo, with a simple request. "Can you verify if either of these girls were in the Hope House system? Any records?" Even as he sent the email, Ethan's mind churned. The resemblance, the kindness, the quiet resilience, it wasn't just coincidence. And Emma, she had been the one to bring them together, a small hand nudging them toward something larger than themselves. Across the city, Lily sat in dim light, Mason asleep beside her. She traced the edges of the photograph again, the memory of the volunteer's words returning. "You look like you were born a twin." She had brushed it off then. Now the possibility clawed at her. It wasn't just about Ethan. It was about her own identity, her past, the sister she might have lost or never known. Sleep evaded her. Questions circled in her mind, gnawing and persistent. Who had she been? Who had she lost? And why had fate placed her in this precise moment, in this exact place? Meanwhile, Ethan sat in his study, the reconstructed photograph before him. He whispered into the quiet room, "If it's true, everything changes." Rain traced delicate trails down Lily's window that night, echoing the quiet chaos in her heart. She stacked Mason's bedtime books neatly, her thoughts tangled in what had just unfolded. Something had shifted, something vital. A knock came at her door, measured, deliberate. She opened it to find Ethan, rain-soaked, carrying a sealed envelope. "May I come in?" he asked softly. She stepped aside, heart hammering. Ethan handed her the envelope. Inside, a genetic report. Her fingers trembled as she read. Probability of full sibling relationship, 99.98%. Her knees gave way. She sank, breathless. She was not just Lily Grace, a teacher and mother. She was Grace's twin, long lost, standing in the living room of her daughter's father. Ethan knelt beside her. "You are her twin," he whispered. "You and Grace identical." Tears streamed silently down her cheeks. It wasn't grief exactly. It was the weight of lost time, of memories never shared, of a past she had yet to claim. Emma peeked from the hallway, eyes wide. "Daddy, do I really have an auntie?" Lily knelt beside her. "Yes, sweetheart, you do. I'm your auntie." Emma threw her arms around her neck. The innocence, the joy, it softened the fear and confusion that had gripped Lily. No one spoke of labels or roles. There were no instructions for how to navigate this newfound family. Just warmth, acceptance, and the quiet realization that something real had begun. The rain had stopped, leaving a soft mist lingering over the city. Lily sat in her apartment, Mason asleep beside her, the envelope still clutched in her hands. Ethan had left hours ago, but the echo of the genetic report and the whispered words he had spoken remained. She was Grace's twin. Her sister existed. She existed. Her thoughts swirled like the fog outside. How could she have lived so many years unaware? Every childhood memory, every foster home, every lonely night, did it lead her here? To Ethan, to Emma. She set the envelope on the nightstand, her fingers tracing the edges. The truth was not just a revelation. It was a tidal wave, threatening to sweep away the life she thought she had known. And yet, beneath the fear and confusion, there was a fragile thread of hope. The next morning dawned soft and golden, the city waking slowly. Lily moved quietly, careful not to wake Mason. She brewed chamomile tea and prepared breakfast, her mind elsewhere. The phone buzzed. Ethan. Coffee, my place, noon. She paused, chest tightening. There were no words that could prepare her for what meeting him would mean now, but she nodded, typing a quick reply. Yes. By midday, she found herself walking the familiar path to Ethan's apartment, Mason's hand in hers. Emma ran ahead, chattering about the flowers she wanted to show Lily. The air was heavy with anticipation, unspoken questions, and a tension neither child could fully understand. Inside, Ethan greeted them with a gentle smile, his eyes soft but intense. The children ran to the living room, leaving Lily and Ethan in the quiet stillness of the kitchen. He motioned toward the table. I kept something for you. Lily followed, cautious but curious. Ethan set down a small photo album he had prepared. Each page was carefully labeled, chronologically ordered, childhood photographs, school pictures, snapshots of Grace at various ages. But intertwined were photographs she had never seen. Candid shots from the orphanage, birthdays, volunteers smiling in the background. He spoke quietly. I've been putting pieces together, and now I think it's time you saw everything to see the full picture. Lily opened the first page. Grace, radiant, smiling at the camera with a little girl standing beside her, her face torn from the photograph. Her stomach twisted. Every photo afterward was a silent echo of her own life, until finally she reached a page that made her breath catch. There she was, Lily, a toddler at Hope House, standing next to Grace, identical in every detail, hair, eyes, posture, expression. The back read G and L 191. Ethan's voice broke the silence. It's not just a resemblance, it's you, twins, you and Grace. You were separated, circumstances we'll never fully understand, but it's real. Her hands shook, clutching the pages. Tears fell silently. All this time, and I never knew. I thought the dreams were meaningless. I thought the whispers of a twin were just childish imagination. Ethan knelt beside her, reaching for her hand. They weren't. You are her, but you are also yourself, Lily. This doesn't define everything. It connects you to her and to Emma. A quiet understanding settled between them, heavy with grief for lost years, yet tender with possibility. Lily wiped her cheeks, looking up at him. And you? He shook his head softly. I don't see you as Grace, I never could. But I see you as someone who belongs in our lives, someone who can share what's left of what we loved and lost. Emma, she's been waiting for this too, even if she didn't know it. Outside, the children's laughter carried in through the window. Lily's gaze softened. I never thought family could be something this unexpected. Ethan smiled, a quiet, patient smile. Sometimes the family you need isn't the one you planned for. Later in the living room, they watched Emma and Mason playing together. Small hands intertwined, shared giggles and imaginary tea parties, bridging the gap between past losses and present connections. Lily noticed the way Ethan's eyes softened when he watched them. A familiarity, a recognition of trust and safety. Do you think it's okay, she asked quietly, to be here with you, with Emma? He leaned back, exhaling slowly. More than okay, necessary, you didn't take anyone's place. You're not a shadow. You're a part of this world, Lily, and you belong here. For a long moment they simply sat together, letting the weight of words, of revelations, and of silences wash over them. There was no urgency, no demand, just the soft, steady heartbeat of what was slowly forming, a new kind of family. Days passed. The children grew closer to Lily in ways that were immediate, instinctive. Emma's joy was contagious. Mason's cautious warmth slowly opened under her care. Ethan observed quietly, allowing moments to unfold naturally, realizing that the space Lily filled was not replacement but connection. One evening, as twilight bled into night, Lily sat by the window with Mason asleep beside her. She held the torn photograph, now reunited, tracing the edges. The whisper of Grace's memory lingered, but it no longer haunted her. Instead, it became a bridge, a thread connecting past, present, and the possibility of a future. Ethan's voice came softly from the doorway. "Dinner's ready." She turned to see him, casual yet deliberate, carrying a tray with sandwiches and juice. No grand gestures, no dramatic confessions, just ordinary care, ordinary life. And yet it carried the weight of everything they had uncovered, everything they had lost, and everything they could now build. They ate together. The children's chatter filled the apartment, laughter threading through quiet glances between Lily and Ethan. No labels were needed, no definitions pressed. Their family existed in the ordinary. Shared meals, gentle touches, moments of understanding, the subtle acknowledgement that they had found something rare. Later, Lily lingered in the kitchen, pouring chamomile tea into 2 cups. She handed one to Ethan, their fingers brushing for a fraction of a second. He didn't speak. He didn't need to. The gesture was enough. They sat on the couch, watching the children play on the floor. Silence stretched comfortably between them, a language of its own. No promises, no pressure, only the slow building of trust and shared connection. Months passed, the rhythm of life settling into a quiet, gentle pattern. Lily remained a part of Emma and Mason's lives, Ethan's trust growing, their bond deepening. The past was acknowledged, remembered, but no longer a weight. Instead, it was a foundation, a reminder of what had been lost, what had survived, and what could now be nurtured. One morning, sunlight spilled into the kitchen. Lily moved barefoot across the tiles, wearing an oversized shirt of Ethan's, pouring tea. The children played nearby, their laughter soft and steady. Ethan read a book on the couch, occasionally glancing up, smiling quietly at the simple joy of the scene. There were no grand declarations, no cinematic finales. Just 4 people existing in the same space, sharing warmth, small silences, and the quiet certainty of belonging. Lily handed Ethan his tea. Their fingers brushed. He looked at her, and for the first time in a long while, the weight of the past and the uncertainty of labels melted away. He smiled, not at habit, not at obligation, but at recognition. "You're home," she whispered, more to herself than him. "And you," he replied softly. Outside, the city moved on, oblivious to the quiet healing taking place inside the apartment. The kettle clicked off. The children laughed. And in that gentle, unassuming space, a family had been rebuilt, not perfect, not defined by convention, but complete in a way only love and patience could forge. And as the sunlight shifted through the windows, casting golden reflections on the floor, Lily finally understood. It wasn't about replacing the past or finding a mirror of what was lost. It was about being present, being steady, being light. She smiled quietly, glancing at Ethan, then at Mason and Emma. No words were needed. They were together, whole in a way that was quietly, beautifully enough. The camera would pull back slowly. Past the curtains, past the children playing, past the soft clink of spoons on mugs, 4 lives intertwined. Not perfect, not scripted, but undeniably real. A soft breeze stirred the kitchen curtain. Lily exhaled slowly, the weight of discovery, grief, and joy settling in. "I still don't know if it's right by the world's standards," she thought, but I know it's right for us, for them, for me. And somewhere in the quiet spaces between hearts, the past whispered its blessing.